It's the Takeover. It's the Takeover right here on CBJ Radio. We're always bringing you the coolest artists on Wednesday nights, and tonight's no different. Changing the Design is the passionately aggressive musical project developed by multi-instrumentalist, singer-songwriter Alan D. Griffith. Alan went to school to be a drummer, then learned the production side. Now he's doing it all with Change the Design. They just released their brand new single and lyric video for Heartstring Symphony, and we're excited to have Alan on the show. First, Alan, thanks so much for coming on.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Yeah, well, you grew up in Ely, Nevada.
It's pronounced Ely. Be careful.
Ely. Oh, okay. Ely, Nevada. Is that close to Reno where you're at now, or where is Ely?
No, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's a very, very small town in eastern Nevada. So it's maybe like 100 miles away from the Utah border.
Oh, okay.
So it's like there's really nothing there.
Yeah. So then you attended Musicians Institute for Percussion.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you stop wanting to be a full-time drummer?
It wasn't it wasn't checking all the boxes. It was like I had other stuff to say and I wasn't able to say it with percussion. So it was like, man, I got to add some other stuff if I'm going to create what I'm feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because, I mean, drummers, that's like gold in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Hard.
That wasn't the part of my process, really. It was more just doing therapy.
Yeah. So you moved to Reno to hone in on your production skills. You did that for years. What was the turning point to getting now with Changing the Design?
Well, I've had this project for quite a long time, and we toured, many moons ago. But I guess I was just trying to flesh out really what I needed from the project. So then I got hired to tour with other bands or, just playing with other friends' bands. And it was like I couldn't focus on what I really needed to focus on for this project. So now I finally have time to really delve in and focus. So yeah, it was quite a process finding what I need to get where I want to be with this project.
Well, and you say you're a very emotional person, and that's what drives you. So yes, you obviously that was a lot of it. Were you playing guitar earlier, or when did that come along?
I started playing guitar. I mean, it's kind of hard to say. I used to just hold the guitar up against me and strum it because I liked the way it felt when I was young. Just like, oh, that feels good. And an acoustic guitar, just the resonance. I'm like, so that just feels good. And that's why I'm so low tuned in my project now. Everything's so low tuned now. We're kind of in the middle, but I guess, we're in like A, which is low. But it feels good to me. It's not so much the sound of it, it's the way it feels. And that just stems from my childhood with having the acoustic next to me. It's like, if I can't feel it, I can't feel it.
Yeah. Well, and we'll talk about your guitars, but you're doing a 3-piece band. Now, you said singing and playing the guitar is not easy.
No, it's not. It's something that I wish I would have worked on before, but it was like the previous formations of the project had 2 guitar players, a bass player, a drummer, and then I would just sing. So I didn't really think about it. And to be honest, they're separate things to me. So when I'm trying to combine them, it's like that's a whole new instrument to me. Is like I don't think about it percussively. I don't think about it. So it's like I can't focus too much on singing and I can't focus too much on guitar playing because they just go in different directions for me. So piecing them together is like it was a difficult change for me because it's like I have to figure out how to use my lightning rod. Like how do I feel good doing this?
Yeah.
So
I mean, and it's not easy when you're doing all the guitar parts and singing at the same time. That's for sure. Mina, your custom baritone riff machine. You're playing a 7-string guitar, Alan. He's grabbing it right now.
So this one is the 6-string. I don't have any of the 7s out right now. So this is Mina, made by Dunnable. It's a custom.
It's a gorgeous guitar.
I love this guitar. It plays almost like a bass. The scale is so long.
Wow. Who made those for you? Someone around Reno?
Dunnable. It's a company called Dunnable out of Los Angeles.
Okay.
They do tons of custom guitars. They have another line called the DE that is coming from, I think that's more of a mass production. But yeah, they started doing custom guitars, I don't know, 15 years ago maybe. and
Wow.
they're incredible.
Yeah, they're gorgeous pieces of work. But what's crazy is you've been you're selling like 7 of your guitars, or you're selling a couple of your 7 strings, a couple of your basses. I didn't know musicians could sell there. I thought all you did was gather, like me with my wrestling figures. You just keep gathering more and more
Yeah,
crap.
it was kind of part of the process of me refining what I need in the project. That's kind of like whittling band members. It's like we still may end up needing another guitar player.
Yeah.
Just if we can get the beef live, it'll be so much easier as a 3-piece, touring and all that stuff. But same with the guitars. It's like if I'm gonna play guitar and sing, then I'm taking the load off somebody else. Then I don't have to supply their guitars. I don't have to do that. And so then I can just use this guitar and make it like my signature look and my signature thing. So I don't need all these other guitars just collecting dust or just being in the cases. It makes me feel bad.
Yeah, hanging on the wall. 7-string. Why the 7-string? Just to get the lower key?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So this one it's called a baritone. Actually, these are all baritone guitars, which means the scale is longer and you
Okay.
can get lower tunings out of them. And that's why I do incorporate a 7-string as well. But normally my regular guitar, I don't have it here. It's at the rehearsal space, but my regular guitar used to look similar to this one. That's a Mike Mushok from Stained. That was his signature guitar.
Okay, yeah.
And it was just one of the first baritones that they did that really made sense. It was such a good feel, and it was beefy, and it held tune really well. But what I noticed during the recording process is if I use one of these guys and a 7-string and pan the guitars left and right, it just sounded so full, because a 7-string sounds just a little bit different than a baritone does, just by nature of the building process.
Yeah, it seems like more of you. I've interviewed a few of you that play 7-string guitars now, or it's getting
Yeah,
getting more out there.
7-strings. They really got big with Korn back in the day.
Okay.
They kind of pioneered the 7-string as a viable instrument. And that was like, what are you doing? But now people are playing 9-string guitars, and most of them go low. But yeah, I'm not there yet.
7's enough right now. We're chatting with Alan from Changing the Design. Go check them out, changingthedesign.com. They're on Facebook, Instagram. Their latest single, Heartstring Symphony, is out now. Well, I saw where you like working at night. Why is that?
Because I have two schedules. So there's the stuff you got to get done in the day and the things you got to get done at night. So that's why I work all night. It's just I usually don't sleep at night anyways. So it's the perfect time for just getting stuff done. It's quiet around, and obviously if I have shows or something like that, I got to do them at night. But yeah, nighttime is I just feel, I don't know. I feel everything more at night. Just I have the time to kind of look at the space between things rather than just going through the motions.
Yeah. Are you still producing music?
I am, but I'm trying to focus mostly on this project right now, because when I'm into something, I'm into something. I don't multitask very well with my emotions. So if I'm working on somebody else's project, I really am focused on their project. I don't want to be thinking about something else while I'm putting art into their project.
Yeah.
Because art deserves art.
Well, exactly. And your full attention to the art. You had a couple, I think you had a couple albums already. Now this Heartstring Symphony is a single. Are we going to stick with the single route? Do we have an EP coming? What?
So this is off of a full album that I released a while back. And what I'm doing is the reason why I wanted to do an album first instead of just the modern way of single is because for me it's like writing a book, and I have to have some sort of like piece in my life that I've structured inside of these songs. So it's like I'm going to write a book, and I'm not just going to release a chapter and then a chapter and a chapter. It all comes as a collective effort. You know what I mean? So now what we're doing is releasing a chapter from the book. each time we release a song.
Oh, okay. Because it is off confining the creator.
So this album is called Soul Dissection Experiment. The full album is, and Confining is the first
Oh,
song.
confining is the first song. Oh, okay. Soul
Yeah.
Dissection Experiment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I should have had that burned into my brain when I watched the one video and it was flickering at me the whole time.
I apologize for that. You might have some weird blue lights in your head all day.
Yeah, I like that though. You had like an
There
Easter
was a
egg.
warning.
Yeah. It probably drove you crazy when you were doing it. Where are the dogs, Alan? You got a couple dogs.
They are not in here because they are menaces to society. Yeah, they're out with the wife and kids right now. I should go get them, but
Yeah, just like me. You got to leave the dogs out of the studio while you're trying to talk, else.
well, they're like, pick me up, pet me.
Exactly.
Pick me
Or
up.
let me run into you, or all the attention's on
Exactly.
me. When you go to the website, changingthedesign.com, click on the store. Tell us the story of the logo, because this thing's pretty cool.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, the logo has had a couple different variations, changing the design. That's funny.
Yeah.
Actually, this thing was way back in the day. This was the first version of it. And then I realized it just didn't look great for what I was trying for branding. And then I was like, okay, I want to design something that kind of looks like a star in some way. And what I ended up doing was taking the C and the D and then doing another one sideways, but better, like more symmetrical and all that. And then a good friend of mine, I have a few amazing graphic artist friends, and they were like, okay, well, if we can just articulate this and articulate this. I'm trying to think. I don't have. Oh, I do. This was what it was for a long time after that iteration. And then
That's close.
yeah, it's close, but then I was like, okay, it's not enough. There's not enough depth in that. It's good for branding, but there's not enough depth for what I want out of how it looks on clothing. I want it to have some sharp edges, and almost like it almost has a nautical star in the middle of it, which would make sense for what the project is about. Trying to find your true version.
Yeah, go and check it out. He's got all kinds of pendants, T-shirts, all kinds of stuff, hoodies, all there at changingthedesign.com. Your tattoos, how long has it been since you got a tattoo? Have these been on your body for a long time?
Yeah, it's been a really long time. I would say my last tattoo was like 12 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I still probably once a week I'm like, oh, I need to get another tattoo, but just at this point I have just funds funneled to music, and I have a family, and I'm like, it seems a little, it would be a large gift to myself.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You feel selfish if you went and got another tattoo with everything
100%.
else.
I'm like, where does this get me? Where does this move me forward?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned it on the website. You grab a guitar, you sit down, you start doing the music from there, and then everything else kind of falls into place. But you're doing everything, Alan. How long does it take you to do like one full song?
It's hard because I don't do it in one sitting most of the time. So there's a lot of rumination inside of that process. So normally it's like I'll come up with maybe like the hook or something, but it's always musical first. Well, I would say 99% of the time it's musical first. So then I'll sit with that for a while. I'll get as much as I can out of it. I'm like, okay, can I try? Normally I have a lot of versions of it that I can try right away. So it's like the drums are already built in my head. The guitars are built in my head, and then I'll like be slowly like adding bass line this is all in my head first. And then I'll be like, well, maybe there's a cool synth part, and maybe I can add some like guitar counter melody or something. And that's usually before I even sit down and record anything. And then once I start recording it, I'm like, okay, well that process was shit. That that didn't work, but something comes out of it and I'm like, okay, then I'll use that process and get as far as I can. So I would say that's normally that might be a day to where I get to that process. And if I can't get any further, then I'll sit with it for another day. I'll just sit on it and think about it. I'm like, what does this even mean to me? Is it going to be worth, because I do feel like sitting on a song makes sense if you're trying to go the emotional route with it. Because it's like, if I still feel that way tomorrow, then it's worth working on. So I would say from start to finish, some of the songs, it was like maybe a week. It took me a week to do the song.
Okay.
But I would say another song like Heartstring, that took me a couple months to finish that one, because it wasn't written. It was like it wasn't fully cooked, it wasn't baked yet. So I was like, okay. And I guess we'll just say my oven, the place where I get the best ideas, is like, I'll go drive somewhere. Like, I'm in Reno, so we have the Sierra Nevadas around here. And my best place is just, I'll go drive on a dirt road somewhere in the middle of the forest, and I'll sit there and just watch. And so normally I'll do that for a week or so. And normally the process will happen within that time. But yeah, Heartstring took a really long time to write. Because also, one of the songs, it's like there's a song called Devil in the Details, which is about this process. It's like, when I think I'm done, something may just change the whole process and I'm not done, because everything makes a difference to me. So I added one kick drum to this song that I thought was done, and I changed the whole song around the kick drum. The bass line, I re-recorded it. I re-recorded the guitars, and I changed. There's a counter melody in the guitars that I added as the rhythm guitar instead. So it just, yeah.
The devil is in the details.
Say that again?
I said the devil is in the details.
Oh, 100%. And especially with this, like the emotional process that I'm trying to do with explaining my thoughts through music, it's like, I just try and get everything out. And sometimes it's negative and sometimes it's positive and kind of in between. But yeah, the devil is in the details of that. Yeah. But also that's where the beauty is too. It's like that transition between everything is just an amazing spot.
Yeah, well, and the title track, Soul Dissection Experiment, you worked with the factory out of Reno. Who did the lyric video for the new one?
I did.
Okay. Well, man, you did a heck of a job. You like doing lyric videos. Yeah,
it's another way of explaining myself. It's like, if I can, I've told the story through music, but so it's kind of hard to explain what I'm talking about just talking. And I say the imagery is another way of explaining it. And if I've tried some other avenues of doing lyric videos, but it's just, as there's not a lot of focus on movement in there, telling a story. So if I was like, hey, can you do this and do this and do this? I'm like, oh, it's not really like, it's not coming together as a story. Now with this one, there's a story. And I'll just say it now that, like, it's cryptic, but in the story, in the lyric video, I am the castle. And so you have all these seasonal changes.
Yeah.
Around the castle, and the woman that's in the story represents nature and the natural changes through the song. So when she shows up, there's another nature change, and there's another piece of it to where the castle kind of, there's like these fireballs around the castle, and it catches on fire, and there's like a Vikings funeral. And like I said, you probably wouldn't know this unless I told you. And then there's floating across the water, and that's almost like the death of an emotional energy. And then she comes back and summons, you see all these pages flying around. She summons that energy again, and then it's back. The castle's back again, so it's just another interesting way of me kind of articulating emotion. It's like the hardest thing to explain.
Wow. How did you do this? Where'd you get all the video footage?
Some of it was shot myself. Some of it was a super high end stock footage. There were a friend that had some footage, so it's like a compilation. These take a long time. Like
This had to take forever.
it was like I don't even know. I would be embarrassed to say, but it was like over probably maybe 200 hours in it between.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like these things mean a lot to me. It's like I don't know if anybody's going to connect to it, but the important part is that I got it out. You know, I feel like I got it out the right way in my artistic way.
Yeah, it's an amazing video. Go to YouTube, Heartstring Symphony. We'll put up a link of it on the chat so you can check it out. But yeah, because is the woman in the video, is that someone you know, or is that stock footage?
She's a stalker.
Wow. Huh. It fits
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. There is one. She's a photographer and a videographer. I can't believe the stuff that she puts out. And normally I run into these issues to where there will be a model and there will be this great thing, but then you can't find anything else. And this was like it's the same woman through the whole video, and there are pieces to where I had to create her in different situations and blend her with other pieces of nature or put her in a completely different environment. But I was shocked at how much I could find of her. It was incredible.
Wow. Well, and like I'm glad you just explained it, because now it has a totally different meaning, or now it all comes into frame when you're watching it. So
yeah, it's like I never know how I should approach those. It's like sometimes having the chat beforehand is good. Sometimes it's better to let people decide what they want out of it. So yeah, but this one it's so deep, and it's so and there are little pieces inside of it that coincide with the lyrics that sometimes I'm not even stating one thing with the lyrics. Most of the time with my lyrics, almost every single line will have two meanings, at least two meanings.
yeah.
So it's like that's still for me, but it gives people an area of like, well, maybe it means this, or maybe it means this to me when they're listening to it.
Yeah, I mean, he's got tons of feeling and emotion in all the songs. Go check him out, changingthedesign.com. We're chatting with Alan. Great stuff. But does your wife think you're crazy sometimes?
100%. I don't envy her position in that. But you know what? It's been quite a process with her. I would say I've known myself so much better as an artist since I've been with her, because she will listen to, I'm like trying to articulate something, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm saying right now. Like, I don't know how I'm feeling. And she'll help me move into the area of like, she cares about how I'm feeling at that point, and it helps me get my art out. So she's just been incredible when it comes to that journey. So
nice.
Yes, she thinks I'm crazy, but also she's helpful.
Yeah. And what'd you say? You have two kids?
Yeah. We have a 5-year-old and a almost 2-year-old.
Oh, wow. You're in it.
Two boys. Oh yeah, we're in it.
Man, do they stay away from the guitars?
No. The 5-year-old is, there's a DNA thing with this music.
Oh yeah,
for sure. He has his own guitar. He is just fully musical in his head with the way he works. The 2-year-old, I'm not sure where he's gonna end up, but he idolizes his big brother too. So, but yeah, I trust the older one with my guitars at this point. He won't like pick him up and play. He has his own. This one right here is his guitar.
Oh, nice.
He
Well,
has
maybe
his
the
own
2-year-old will be the drummer.
He might be. You know what? He's like a Bam Bam. He's got heavy hands, and he doesn't care who knows it.
Yeah. Well, you're in Reno. I mean, you guys opened for Nonpoint. Was that in Reno?
Yeah, that was here in Reno.
Because I mean, there's tons of places to play there. How's the rock scene though?
It's real. We have a lot of good bands here. A lot of good bands. Some, there are bands that I'm just like, how are you playing what you're playing? just incredible musicians. I would say that Reno, it's hard because it does get passed over, and I'm not, there you'll see these big tours that go through and they'll miss Reno, and I think it's just been sometimes you can't depend on the crowd that you can depend on in other cities. It's like it's a little unpredictable with who's going to show up, the amount of people that are going to show up. But Reno has an amazing stock of musicians. Like I have so many talented friends here.
Yeah, I'll bet. Wow. Well, I went on my honeymoon. I went to Lake Tahoe and Reno. And I loved it. I actually went to a concert when I was in Reno.
Where'd you go?
One of the casinos. I went to, if you remember, Stroke 9 and SR-71.
Oh my gosh,
SR-71 had Right Now. That was their big one-hit wonder. And then Stroke 9 had Little Black Backpack.
Do you remember where you saw them?
God, it was in some casino, and it was just some little theater, and there was like tables. Like we were at a table.
It was probably the Nugget.
It might have been. It was, 25 years ago, 30, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, they have a really nice sounding showroom. But it's a smaller type theater. We have one, the Grand Sierra Resort, which used to be the Hilton and used to be, this is preceding me, but I can't remember what else it was. They have a huge theater inside of that one.
Yeah. Well, Changing the Design, go check them out. ChangingTheDesign.com, Heartstring Symphony. Go and watch the video. Go and download it. Go and get the album. Because how long has the album been out?
Almost 2 years.
I was going to say, it's been a while. That's why I didn't think the song was even on it when I was looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just kind of a drip process with doing the singles after the release of the album now. So it's like I can focus, it's always a funding issue with the videos. I'm like, well, I don't have $100,000 to do this one. But yeah, so we're drip feeding the singles now. And then eventually I'll write a new album, but this one has tons of life left in it. So we got a lot to say about it and a lot to do with it.
There's 14 tracks on it. Soul Dissection Experiment. So go and check it out. You can get it right there at changingthedesign.com or stream it anywhere that you're streaming music. Goals for 2024? What are we trying to accomplish?
Touring.
Oh, okay.
More videos and touring.
Nice. So they'll be hitting the road. So go and follow them. Go and like them. Keep your eye on them. Changing the Design. And here it is, Heartstring Symphony. Alan, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
It's the Takeover, CBJRadio.com.